I was present. I heard it come out of her mouth. Wanda was a minor. A minor when she got pregnant with Rymir. And like Wanda always said, he picked her up in Philly, but he took her to New York across state lines to bed her while she was allegedly underage. Even though Lily was present when Rymir was born. She was very clear on the fact that Wanda was a minor when she was pregnant with Rob.
On the love child Rymir, Jay-Z, the paternity.
Yeah.
He's come out and said, like, this is just long-term harassment, man. He's like, this thing is just won't go away.
Long-term harassment. You know how disrespectful that is to a man that looks almost identical to you?
Yeah, that's his child. That's very disrespectful. I mean,
to a man that chances are, just out of nowhere, random universal selection, this boy who's not related to you has your nose, has your mouth, has your brow line, has your hairline, same straight knobby knees, is like all of this just by accident. Just by accident. It's just a coincidence that this man looks like he could be your Irish twin. Are you kidding me? I'll tell you what I do know. I do know that I have listened to actual commentary from his godmother, Lily, who sat with a friend of mine, Liz Crokin.
Like, it's not, you don't have to prove me wrong. I just want the truth. Honestly, I can take a no. I can take, if I'm embarrassed at the end of the day, I can take that. I really can. I've been through a lot, I've seen a lot. I could take me being embarrassed. Like, this can't take nobody not saying nothing. Like, it's not fair. I was 7. My mom had to sit down with me. I guess she thought I was old enough to know now, and she been saying Sean Carter, that's what she was calling him at first before she was calling it Jay-Z, and I really didn't know who that was because I was young and, had my little brother, and I really wasn't worrying about it. She was saying it a lot, but I really just was going along with the person I was just seeing, like the person I looked at who was taking care of me at that time. I really wasn't really trying to understand what my mom was talking about, but she constantly put it in my head like, son, it's not your father, and I really want you to know it is. This person is your father, and I just want you to know. And she continued to tell me that over the years and over the years and over the years, even until I was grown. He never tried to contact me in any type of way, and that's all I'm asking is, like, because I honestly really want the case to be over with. Like, I've been going through, just like I said, a lot, and as I said, I'm not chasing nobody. I'm not trying to do this to make somebody seem like a bad person, a bad father. I'm not trying to make nobody seem like a bad person or nothing. I'm just really coming out here for the truth. I don't want no money or anything. I wasn't looking for none of that. I just want to know the truth. And if I can't go to the courts and get the truth, like, what is it really? What is it? I just really want it over. It's something that's really affecting my life, and I just want it over with. I work every day. I also have my own kids to take care of. So it's like, it's been a journey for me, and it's just like, I just got so much on my name right now. I never asked for money. I don't do interviews just saying, hey, Jay-Z, give me your money, or I'm coming at the Jay-Z for his money. I never did that. I'm not that type of person. I work for everything. Next is, I'm just trying to basically make sure no other kids or nobody else in the world has to go through this. Basically, don't feel afraid to go to court and see if a person is your biological parents. So many people are scared, and this is a big thing in the world. A lot of people don't have their fathers because they scared.
Rymir Carter has spent most of his life chasing one thing: answers. Now 32 years old, he spent over a decade trying to prove that Jay-Z is his biological father. But the deeper you dig into this story, the darker it gets, especially when it comes to how Jay-Z allegedly treated Rymir's mother. Back in 1992, Wanda, Rymir's mom, was just 16 years old when she met Jay-Z, who was in his 20s. Their relationship was brief, but everything changed when Wanda got pregnant. When she reached out to Jay-Z about the baby, he allegedly vanished. No contact, no support, nothing. According to those close to her, Wanda always said Jay-Z picked her up in Philly, drove her across state lines to New York, and slept with her while she was still underage. Lily, who was there when Rymir was born, confirmed that Wanda was indeed a minor during her pregnancy. And if these claims are true, this isn't just scandal, it's potentially criminal. Crossing state lines with a minor takes the story into dangerous territory, with accusations that could have carried serious charges. Wanda kept this truth from Rymir until he was older, but when she finally sat him down and told him everything, it changed the course of his life. From that moment, Rymir launched his own mission to uncover the truth once and for all. But every time he pushed forward, something or someone pushed back. Legal papers went missing, judges suddenly became hard to reach, lawyers dropped out. It was as if powerful forces wanted this story buried forever. Jay-Z's legal team reportedly dismissed the whole thing as long-term harassment, but how do you call it harassment when the man in question looks almost identical to you? From the nose to the mouth to the brow line? It's uncanny. Yet despite all this, Jay-Z has never once taken a DNA test. Rymir insists he isn't after money, just the truth. But instead of answers, he's faced silence, delays, and even a reported gag order to keep him quiet. And here's the question that has everyone talking. If Jay-Z truly isn't the father, why not just take the test and put this all to rest? Something about this silence makes the story even harder to ignore. And before we dig deeper into the chaos that followed, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because what comes next is even more explosive. By the time Rymir stepped into the legal arena, he thought the justice system would finally give him the answers he'd been chasing his whole life. Instead, he ran headfirst into a wall of resistance. Court filings mysteriously disappeared from the record. Judges who once seemed approachable suddenly became unreachable. One lawyer after another backed out of his case without clear explanation. It was like an invisible hand was pulling strings behind the curtain, making sure the truth stayed locked away. And every time Rymir tried to speak publicly, he claimed he was met with intimidation. Reports surfaced of a gag order designed to silence him, even as he insisted he wasn't after a dime, just proof. He wanted clarity, not cash. Yet, in the eyes of Jay-Z's legal team, his persistence was framed as nothing more than harassment. But harassment doesn't explain the striking resemblance between the two men, or the way Rymir's story has been so consistently shut down. The silence from Jay-Z only adds fuel to the fire. After all, a simple DNA test could settle the matter instantly. But year after year, it never happens, which leaves fans and critics alike asking, what is there to hide? Because the longer this drags on, the more it feels like there's something far bigger at stake than just a paternity test. And trust me, you'll want to stick around because what comes next is even more explosive. As Rymir pushed forward, his fights stopped being just about paternity. It became a fight against an entire system that seemed designed to protect the powerful. He spoke out about corruption in the courts, claiming that every attempt to get his case heard was quietly blocked. Legal documents were sealed without warning. Evidence he tried to present was brushed aside, and instead of transparency, he was met with closed doors at every turn. It painted a picture of influence being used in ways the public never gets to see. To many watching from the outside, the story wasn't just about whether Jay-Z was Rymir's father, it was about how wealth and celebrity could shield someone from accountability. If an ordinary man could be forced into a DNA test, why was this different? The contrast between Rymir's persistence and Jay-Z's silence became a story of its own, a symbol of the imbalance between those with power and those without. And the more attention Rymir's claims received, the more the backlash grew. Supporters flooded social media pointing out the uncanny resemblance and demanding answers. But critics accused him of clout chasing, saying he was trying to exploit Jay-Z's name for fame. Rymir pushed back every time, insisting he didn't want money. He wanted the truth, not just for himself, but for his late mother who carried the weight of this secret for decades. Her memory became his driving force, the reason he refused to back down. On the other side, Jay-Z continued his silence. Not a word, not a denial, not a DNA test, just an unshakable quiet that left the world guessing. And the longer that silence lasted, the more heavy it began to feel. Because if the truth is so simple, why hide from it? Why let the controversy spiral into headlines, lawsuits, and endless speculation? The question that remains isn't just whether Jay-Z is Rymir's father, it's whether the world will ever get an answer at all. And as we peel back the next layer of this story, you'll see why some believe the silence may be more telling than anything else. By now, the case had shifted from quiet court filings to a public conversation about power, money, and control. Rymir's voice became louder, his story gaining traction in documentaries, online interviews, and countless social media threads. People around the world started to see his battle not just as a family issue, but as a symbol of how ordinary individuals are silenced when their truth threatens the reputation of the powerful. The allegations of corruption and hidden influence painted a disturbing picture. If the legal system could bend in ways that kept one man's voice suppressed, what did that say about justice as a whole? For Rymir, every closed door became proof that something larger was at work, and every silence from Jay-Z seemed to echo louder than any denial ever could. Meanwhile, fans couldn't ignore the striking resemblance between Rymir and Jay-Z, fueling endless comparisons online. And while some dismissed it as coincidence, others called it undeniable evidence hiding in plain sight. The debate only grew, turning into a cultural flashpoint that forced people to ask difficult questions about truth, power, and accountability. What started as a personal search for truth was now a story unfolding on the world stage. Media outlets began picking it up, not just as gossip, but as a question of accountability. Could one of the biggest names in music really avoid a test that would take less than a minute? The question spread everywhere, across headlines, talk shows, and viral posts, turning private pain into public debate. For Rymir, that attention was a weapon and a burden. It gave him a platform to demand answers, but it also placed him under a microscope with every move questioned, every statement picked apart. Yet even under the pressure, he stayed firm. His message never changed. This was about justice, identity, and truth, not about fame or money. And while the world waited for Jay-Z's response, none came. His silence continued, as though he had decided that ignoring the claims was better than confronting them. But in the eyes of many, silence is its own kind of answer. Each day without resolution only fed the storm, making the controversy impossible to ignore. And the real question now wasn't just about Rymir, it's about whether the truth can survive when power does everything to bury it. And as we move forward, the next chapter of this story shows why some believe the walls around Jay-Z might not hold forever. As the years passed, this battle became more than just a legal fight. It turned into a test of resilience. Rymir's determination stood as proof that sometimes the pursuit of truth takes everything you have: time, money, energy, even peace of mind. And yet, despite all the obstacles, he never stepped away. His story resonated with anyone who had ever felt silenced, ignored, or powerless against a system built to protect the influential. For Jay-Z, the silence stretched on. Some argued it was a calculated move, a way to rise above the noise without dignifying the claims. Others saw it as avoidance, a refusal to confront something that could shatter the image he had built. Either way, the longer the silence remained, the more people began to believe that it carried its own message. This case was no longer about a single man searching for answers, it had become a reflection of how power and influence can shape the narrative. And as the controversy continued to grow, one question refused to fade. How long can the truth be hidden before it forces its way to the surface? What comes next in this story is where the pressure reaches a breaking point, and the world starts demanding answers louder than ever before. The pressure eventually reached a point that it could no longer be ignored. With every passing year, the calls for a DNA test grew louder, echoing through courtrooms, media outlets, and public forums. Supporters insisted that a simple test could put the matter to rest once and for all, while critics argued that the refusal spoke volumes. It wasn't just a question of fatherhood anymore. It had become a question of credibility. For Rymir, the fight had taken on new meaning. He wasn't just standing for himself, but for anyone who had ever been denied a voice. His persistence became a symbol of defiance against a system that seemed built to protect power at all costs. The case was no longer just about his identity, it was about whether truth itself had any chance when faced with influence and money. And Jay-Z's silence, however, continued. No tests, no public statements, just the same unshaken quiet. To some, it was strength. To others, it was avoidance. But either way, it created a cloud of doubt that refused to disappear. And as the years went by, the silence only deepened the mystery, turning this case into one of the most persistent and controversial stories in modern celebrity history. And as we enter the final stretch of this story, the question isn't just about who Rymir is, it's about what this battle has revealed about truth, power, and the cost of silence. In the end, this story became larger than one man, one family, or even one case. It turned into a mirror held up to society, reflecting how truth can be delayed, challenged, or buried, but never fully destroyed. Rymir's fight stood as a reminder that sometimes the pursuit of truth takes everything you have: time, money, energy, even peace of mind. And while Jay-Z's silence
the fight.
Nobody's talking about the fact that he is currently suing his first biological son to quiet him and put a gag order on him. Why would he be doing that? I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Rymir's mother was a minor when she conceived Rymir with Mr. Carter, who was a grown adult. What kind of family man is that? You don't want anyone to know, you or your wife, don't want anyone to know who your actual biological children are, because most of them were created with minors while you were an adult. He's been in court with this young man for the past decade, fighting taking a DNA test. If he's not your kid, take the DNA test. Simple. If the young man is not your son, why have you spent so much money trying not to take a DNA test? Take the DNA test if he ain't your kid. You such a proud family man. While you fight back the truth about your firstborn biological son, because you don't want nobody to know that his mama was barely 15 when you made her a mother and you were a grown man. I'm here.
Yeah.
Him and Blue Ivy got the same mouth.
I'm hoping he got paid. I'm hoping he got something for this, and that's why he's going away, but it don't look like it. But then if Jay-Z does give him a settlement, he's not going to talk about it publicly, of course. I don't know. But who are we to get mad at Rymir if his life was really being threatened and he like, you know what? I'm going to just go and withdraw. Because here's the thing, right? Jay-Z has a certain image, and Jay-Z has been able to keep this story quiet, keep it hush-hush, but there is something to it. Even if he's not this biological man, because it's a grown man, biological man's father, he must have slept with his mother. Like, he know who his mother is. Because if this was just a complete stranger and you had never slept with his mama, you would have been like, I didn't know who your mother was. Like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And you wouldn't give a damn about giving us some DNA. Or you would at least come out and say, I don't know who you are. So, what I will say is that between Rymir's mother, his late mother, and Jay-Z, there must have been a relationship. And see, the problem with you, Jay-Z, when you was in your 20s, you was dicking and dodging. You was giving out meat everywhere. Let's just keep it real. A dude like Jay-Z, you was Jay-Z. You started off being what, Jazzy? Then it went to Jay-Z. You was doing your thing. You got a bunch of kids up in Maryland and up in that area. You know what I mean? Allegedly. Don't come for me. I'm just saying. Did you really want us to believe that Blue Ivy was your first child, Jay-Z? Well, actually, Beyonce was pregnant before that with the baby. And I think they was going to name that baby Brooklyn. And then she lost that baby. And then she got pregnant with Blue when she was shooting the cover of the album 4. They were in Paris. They had some good hot sex that late night, early morning. And then Beyonce got up with his nuts still in her and went and shot the shot. And she was like, ooh, we just got it in last night. And didn't know she was pregnant at the time. Okay, so I guess I'm a real Beehive fan. Anyway, with that being said, not me knowing your ovulation, I say all that to say, like, did you really want us to believe that Blue was your first